What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It has actually been a long time since I made a video, and I didn't realize it. I went back and looked at some of the videos I made, and I kind of... Well, that didn't work. So, yeah, I didn't realize I left you guys kind of dry. So the last video you saw was either my first or second time out at the track. So I didn't realize, I mean, you haven't seen anything with this car this whole year. So I'm just gonna update you a little bit. So a ton has changed since you saw the car last. Everything on the car has changed since you saw it last. So the fastest the car did all year was a 1081, which I don't think it was in my other video, but it was a 1081 at 128 or 129. I'll just go ahead and show it to you in case I didn't play it at any other point. So here it is. So that was the best the car has ever ran. And then a few weeks to a month after that, this happened. So I blew third gear out of it, completely gone, stripped it. So I ended up taking the transmission up to RPM Transmissions in Indianapolis because they're an hour and a half from me. So I ended up taking the transmission up to them and they rebuilt it. So I have a level 5 transmission now from them. It's been awesome. The only thing I'm trying to figure out, so I've had a lot of clutch disengagement issues. I don't know what the issue is. It's one of the things I'm kind of troubleshooting this winter. I got a Willwood master cylinder off of one of my buddies. He went to an automatic transmission, so I bought that off of him, and I'm going to see if it helps a little bit, because other than the Slave now, everything else is aftermarket. You know, McCloy clutch, and then the Willwood master cylinders. So I fought that. LS Fest got rained out. If you guys are into LS Fest, you probably already know it, but it got rained out. So I haven't done anything really all season with the car. A lot of testing. I entered it. in one of the events, what was it? I don't remember which one it was, and I blew up the transmission. So I had to, and that was 3 weeks before LS Fest. So I called those guys, the RPM guys, and was like, hey, like I need this transmission back. And I mean, I think their lead time was like a couple weeks, and I was like, man, like if you can't do it, like I'm gonna have to figure something out. They had it done and back to me in a week. I mean, I went up and picked it up, but I mean, they knocked it out. So I can't thank them enough for that. Even though we ended up going out to LS Fest, and I made, I think, one pass with the car, and it was terrible. So the next issue I'm having with the car, I'm pretty sure one of my fuel pumps went out. Well, no, let me take that back. So I showed you at the very beginning how my 2 pumps are set up. My one turns on just like the factory pump did. So you turn the key on, it primes, shuts off, you know, the whole cycle, whatever. It's on all the time. And then when I was gonna play with the car or race the car, I manually turned on the secondary pump. So for whatever reason, I was losing fuel pressure. So, you know, you go to get on it, and all of a sudden it just starts pulling a ton of timing out. You can just feel it. The car takes off, and all of a sudden it just falls on its face. And this was right after I got the transmission back. So as soon as I got the transmission back, fuel pump went out, or, well, I keep saying fuel pump went out. It didn't go out because it ran on the one pump, and then I turned the second one on, and I could hear it. So the second one's turning on. I'm assuming one of my lines either broke or it blew off in the tank. So, because I don't have a leak anywhere, I don't have anything anywhere. Car ran great other than that. In the first, you know, until 3,100 RPM, the car pulled great, but then it started pulling all the timing out, and, you know, started taking power out of it. So that's actually still an issue. That's something I'm going to be addressing this winter also. So I have an update. I can't believe I have an update. So with all the virus stuff going on, it's kind of been crazy with work and some of the other stuff, and kind of only been getting my car out every once in a while. And well, so it's snowing here right now. The car is I've actually been working on the car, and I've been meaning to make a video, but I just never got to it. So I'm gonna update you guys on everything right now. So this is the car's current state right now. I know you guys remember this from last winter. It looks exactly the same as last winter. It's just, so supercharger's gone. Sold it. That's a big change. So I talked to my buddy Zach and Mike, and Mike, just FYI, Mike is the one that he posted one of the last videos with the yellow Mustang. You haven't seen Zach yet. So I decided, so next winter, my plan was, like winter of 2021, my plan was, I have a 408 rotating assembly I was gonna put in this car, well, in a 6-liter block, make a 408, put it in this car, and I was gonna go big single turbo. And the dilemma was if I wanted to stay stick or go automatic. I love the stick shift, and I love driving the stick and everything, but as deep as I was wanting to get into it with drag racing, it was kind of more realistic to go automatic. So I've kind of been throwing that around. Well, I want this car to stay a stick car, so I think I'm gonna keep it a stick car. But what we had decided was, well, let's put the supercharger up for sale. So I listed it a little high, and I was like, if it sells, it sells, and I'll go twin turbo now. And I'll try it out with the stick, and I'll see how much I like it, and which I know I'm gonna love it, and it's gonna make me want to stay stick and everything. So I know that's what's gonna end up happening. But anyway, a couple weeks later, this guy reached out to me. He sent me his number and said, call me. So I called him, And he said, I want the supercharger. And I was like, are you gonna haggle on price or anything or whatever? And so I sold him the supercharger, the lid, obviously, the cam, the BTR Stage 3 torque cam, that went with it, with all the lifters. The front drive setup went with it, and I believe that's it. So sold all that to him, and it's going on his I want to say it was a 70 Chevelle that he's making like a pro touring car. So that's pretty cool. But anyway, so I assume at this point I've put 2 and 2 together that I am going twins this winter. So so we have a local guy that we use. So me and Zach have built a couple different like Cummins and done some turbo kits on a couple different trucks. And so we have a guy local that out of his backyard, his little shed, builds turbos. Like he has a lathe. I mean, he builds these turbos, and he's a mad scientist. He truly, like, he will do anything you tell him. Like, it could be the weirdest combination, and he's like, oh yeah, I can do that. He's like, actually, we could go a little bit bigger. Like, I'm not kidding you. Zach sent him his pump for his Cummins and said, I don't remember what the sizes are or anything. He said, I want this, you know, it'll be a mild pump, you know, it'll be a good pump, but it'll do what I want it to do. He gave it to this guy. His name is James. So if you hear us talk about James or anything, he's our turbo guy. Well, he's a diesel. He used to be a diesel mechanic. So he rebuilds pumps and injectors and turbos and stuff for diesel trucks. So, and that's actually how we got to know him, was building these Cummins. Well, anyway, so he gave him his pump off his Cummins, and this was Zach's truck at the time. He said, I want to just be a mild pump, you know, I want to try and make this much power, whatever, because we had just built a compound kit for it and put compounds on it. So he needed more fuel. So he gave him his injectors and pump and told him that. We got the pump back. The pump was maxed out, and so were the injectors. I'm not kidding you. He went all out on this stuff and maxed this stuff out. And so here's a clip of his truck, just kind of laying into it. Not getting on it, but laying into it. That's a lot of fuel. So we actually are gonna have to, so Zach actually sold that truck to one of his buddies who's overseas currently. He's coming back here soon, and I think we're gonna be doing something different with the truck. But most likely, whatever we do, we're probably gonna have to take that pump back off and give it back to James and be like, hey, we're gonna have to go back to what we originally told you. This was like fun while it lasted. Let's dial it back, make it realistic. So, I'm trying to remember how much that pump was like able to flow, but it was a ridiculous amount. And anyway, that's beside the point. Well, now you know who James is. James is our turbo guy. Well, anyway, so I went and talked to him, and he's actually building me a set of 57 millimeter turbos. So they're not huge, but for a stock bottom end LS6, they're probably going to be a good size. So they're 57 millimeters, actually off a Caterpillar tractor. I don't know if it's off a loader or something. It says cat. You know, it has the cat emblem on the housing, so that's kind of funny. I think I'm gonna keep, because I'm gonna end up painting the compressor housing, but I think I want to like wipe the paint off the cat part so you could see cat, because I think it's kind of funny. So this car was actually called Clapped Out by somebody at one point. I don't remember who it was, but they called it the Clapped Out V. So that's what we're sticking with. Now it has tractor turbos on it. That's what we're gonna go with. So kind of got off track a little bit. So I'm gonna fill you in completely what the plan is for this winter, everything I'm doing, next steps, everything I've already done, and then you're actually gonna get to see me. Well, no, I'll probably make a separate video because this was gonna be being kind of long. So this video would just be a complete fill in. This is what I'm doing, this is what I have done, this is where it's going. And then the next video, I'll show you some of the stuff that I am doing. So let's get into it. So here's the engine. She is stripped down. So you may notice different radiator. In case you notice, these are forward facing headers. Fuse box ripped apart. I ripped it out of the box. There's the lid. So I ordered a sheet metal intake from Summit. It's actually a Phi-Tech intake, which is more or less the Holley Sniper. I mean, as far as I know, they're identical. Well, they at least look identical. So they just have different names on them. Probably made at the same place, but they have different names on them. But anyway, so have that. Forward-facing headers. These are the Flowtech up and forwards, which I flipped, and they're now down and forwards. Because of this, I'm moving the alternator up here. This is an ICT billet alternator relocation kit for a Corvette, because a CTS-V Corvette and I thought one other car, but it might just be the two, are the same offset drive system. So going back to one belt, there's no more supercharger belt, just one. Oh, and I sold him the crank pulley too, so that's obviously gone because I'm not going to use that. So, yeah, so I'll be going to an ATI balancer, and I'll have the alternator up here, water pump obviously, and then power steering. So that'll be kind of neat again, and it'll be nice. Go ahead and pull this out of here. So this radiator is actually for a, now don't hate, because it's just what's gonna work. It's actually off a Ford. It's out of a 65 Mustang. So this is actually an upgraded radiator for a 65 Mustang. So this is a 3-core. It's like 3 inches thick. It's got 3 cores. It's just the one that fits, okay? So it's a good radiator. It has a lot of good reviews. It's probably gonna do what I want it to do, but it's a Ford radiator. It doesn't have any Ford emblem on it. Doesn't have any of that crap, so it's okay. Nobody will know, except for everybody that watches this video, because I just told you. I probably should have just told you it was for a Pontiac or something. But anyway, so down and forward, I welded. So this V-band came with the headers, and I welded a 3-inch to 2.5 inch, whatever it's called, drawing a blank. It goes from 3 inch to 2.5 inch. So I welded those on. So I'm going to be running 2.5 inch, and then I mean, it's going to be pretty straightforward. But so this was my measurement for the radiator, as I measured from here to here, and that fits, I mean, perfectly in between. So before, I was thinking with the stock radiator goes from here to here. I mean, it goes from frame rail to frame rail. I thought I was going to have to go down and over and around the radiator and then back up to the turbos, because I'm putting the turbos right here in the grill. So remember how I was telling you about the CAD emblem? Gonna have a turbo sitting right here. I'm not gonna go through the grill. I mean, it'll be sitting behind the grill, but you'll be able to see that little cat right there, which I think is gonna be funny. But took the cover off, welded on some 10AN bungs. They're in the cover. We're gonna try that out. I don't know how it's gonna go, but we're gonna try it. So I called Urson Cams and talked to them about the setup and everything, and got a custom grind cam for this setup and the turbos that are going to be on it. I already put that in, put new lifters in, same springs and everything. So I had the heads off, went through everything, new head gaskets, obviously reused the ARP head studs and everything. So engine is identical other than the cam, basically. So change the cam. I also got rid of the knock sensors because I don't think I told you yet. I made a video a while back that I was going to edit and upload as an update, but never got to it. I am going to a Terminator X setup. So I already, well, actually I didn't sell it yet. I have a guy interested in the computer, stock harness and everything, because I got tired of the issues that was giving me. I couldn't do anything with it. And from what I was seeing, I've never bought it before, but what I was seeing, HB Tuners was going to end up being like $600 by the time I bought the programmer, the cable, the credits, and the program. All that stuff was going to end up being like 600 bucks. So I can get the Terminator for $850, and then I'm able to do everything. You get where I'm going with this. So no more issues with that. Going to the Holley system, it's going to be so nice. It's going to be so much cleaner. It's going to look so much better. I can't wait to start wiring it, but that's a little bit ways out. But so going to the Holley system, that intake, those turbos, that radiator, I don't think there was really anything else. Staying stick. It's going to be a stick car. I don't think anything else is changing other than the fuel pumps. I'll have to change the fuel pumps. But anyway, so I get this out of the way, kind of. I cut the wheel wells out a little bit because this car, I think I mentioned at one point, was in a front end accident on this side over here. Because if you look at the bumper, won't be able to see it probably, but the fog lights are actually, like, one of the mounts is like epoxied on. So it was obviously broke off. And then these aren't the factory fenders. So I mean, and you could see, well, I think you can see how it's bent out right here. That's what it's supposed to look like. And that's what it looks like. So it was in a front end accident. I didn't know about it until I started working on the car and stuff, but it doesn't matter. Still has a clean title. I don't care. So, but anyway, it was kind of wrinkled there real bad. So I cut all that out. So now it looks nice. I painted the whole engine bay black because if you remember, it was like a silver and it was kind of looked like crap. So I sanded it all down, tried to do a decent job, painted it black, looks 10 times better now. But anyway, so the next thing is I'm redoing all the brakes, brake lines, I mean everything other than the master staying, but it'll get flushed and cleaned out and everything. So I got tired of the ABS system because I have one of my wheel hubs is, I don't know, the sensor or something's bad. I didn't feel like messing with it. I turned it off every single time I got in the car, and it was just a huge block. I think it's in here. So this is all the crap I cut off the front end too, but, well, it's down there. Huge block, sat right here. So this is getting cut out. These are getting cut off. And in case you noticed, or didn't notice, I put a bumper bar in. So I cut the end of these frame rails off, plated them, put another plate on there, welded that on, bent up this tube, and built a bumper bar. And I'm gonna cut these off, both sides. That's actually going to be in the next video probably. Plate those, do the same thing. It's going to come out here and down, and it'll brace up to here for the turbos and stuff, and then the radiator will mount to that. And but anyway, so I'm kind of building a whole front tube front end setup, and I bought a tubing bender, and I am putting a cage in this car this winter too. So it'll have a cage, twin turbos. I mean, really, in a new computer, I mean, it's going to be a different car next season. So, pretty excited. But that's it for the engine bay. I'll show you some of the different stuff I'm mounting, some of the different stuff I've gotten, whatever. But here is the interior currently. Stripped. That's the brake kit right there. I'll show you that at some point. when I get into that, probably I'll show it to you. But I got a set of Corbu FX1 seats. So I replaced the fronts. I sold the seats, so those are actually all gone. Seats are gone, exhaust is gone, supercharger's gone, everything's gone. So different car. So I'm building a cage for it. I